Yo, this is Trevor from Obituary, and you're listening to Talk Toomey.
Alright guys, that was 10,000 Ways to Die off of Obituary's new album, new self-titled album on Relapse Records, out, let's see, March 17th this year, man. We got Trevor Peres on the line. How you doing?
All right, how's it going, Josh?
It's going well. I was joking with another podcaster, radio personality today. I was like, if you called Central Casting and asked for a death metal guitar player, they would send you Trevor Peres.
Killer. I'm in.
Very cool, man. Just been a huge fan of yours for a very, very long time. And actually, this is what I was talking about earlier. I'm going to hit you right away with something that's kind of out of left field. But you and I met in the late 90s in Nashville. Behind a club, and we started talking. I look over, and you're a very unmistakable guy. And I'm like, wow, that's Trevor Peres of Obituary right there. And we start talking, and you were telling me at the time that you were doing I feel like you were converting songs to MP3s, some kind of service like that. Is my memory correct?
When was it? What time?
About 98, about 98, 97, 98.
Oh man, MP3s. I did so much stuff. I was wondering if it was that. It couldn't have been. It wasn't Kill TV. No, that was too early. I did an internet TV.
Yeah, no, it was definitely before that. And if I'm wrong, then my memory for the last 20 years has been, well, maybe this was closer to 99, 2000. But this is a riveting interview. But what it was is you were like the first person I'd ever remember that was kind of talking about MP3s and getting your music online. Maybe it was just getting your music online, some sort of online web service.
Yeah, possibly, because I remember I was totally into technology back then. I went to like design school in like mid 90s for like just digital art and stuff. So I was kind of a tech geek. I kind of still am. I was in there doing a website for somebody a little while ago. So
yeah, right.
Kind of what I did. Something to do with anything to do with the internet or digital. I mean, I'm totally into analog recording if somebody wants to. I'm sorry, there's a helicopter in the background. They have found me. They're going to take me away. See you later.
That was the last interview of Trevor.
No, but yeah, I can't remember. But yeah, probably something to do with getting stuff online or something, I'm sure.
Very cool. Yeah, it's just funny because, now that 20 years later, the MP3, iTunes, Spotify, all that stuff is like the norm. But back then it was like, why would I want my music online when I could make a CD? And always looking back that you were like the first person I ever really remember talking about any kind of service like that.
That's crazy. Cool.
Very cool, man. So this new album, let's just go with some kind of generic questions right off the bat. What makes you want to do self-titled album this late in the career?
There wasn't even a conscious decision, or it wasn't like thought up. It kind of happened at the end of the day when we were finished recording and coming up, like basically putting the layout for the album together. We didn't even know what we were going to call the album. And the artwork we had from Andres Marshall, which was painted probably 3 years ago or something, or 2.5, 3 years ago. I think it was painted like right around or right after we did the Ink and Blood out artwork. You know what I mean? It was like all around the same time. We had some extra pieces done for other projects that we were thinking of, which never really happened. And so the new album cover obviously is a logo, just our logo. And we were like going through titles of those songs, like what would be a good song title for the album, And I think John maybe said, what about just Obituary, man? Look, just the logo. I mean, it's not like a piece of artwork that's showing something like a dude rotting in the gutter in the street, like on Slowly, you know what I mean, or something.
Right.
It was just kind of more of our logo, and it was like this, and we knew we were going to do just a solid black background, and it has this glow from the bottom, looks like the logo's glowing from maybe fire, I don't know. So we're like, I don't know, maybe that'll work. And we're like, screw it. And that is done. And that's how we decided to call it Obituary. It wasn't really a pre-planned thing, kind of.
Is it crazy that you guys still have a career? I'm assuming 30 years after, basically 30 years in, you guys still have this style of music wasn't meant to last, but now it's like, probably more popular than it's been in a very long time.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy, I guess. Definitely Never thought it would last this long. I never, didn't even know it would be a career, because I remember the day Roadrunner sent us, or Road Racer, whatever they're called, RC Records, when they sent us our pressed vinyl of Slowly. I remembered I was like 19 years old. I'm sitting there holding it in my hand going, Toomey, we got a record. Yeah. You know what I mean? We're like, okay, let's go smoke a bowl or whatever. It wasn't even that big a deal. I mean, we didn't even tour for Slowly for a year. It actually, we're putting out, just getting ready to drop Call to Death before we even started touring,
Oh, wow.
I mean, we went to Mexico, we went up to Milwaukee Metal Fest, but never like a proper tour. Never went, we did some shows in Florida, like Lauderdale and Tampa, and that was it, basically, and forever. And, like I said, we went to Mexico once with the guy, Carlo, this promoter down there, flew us down there, during that time. And, never even thought it would be a career. I mean, I don't know if they ever even thought, like, cool, this is going to be a career, or can it be a career, or whatever. It was just kind of like, we're a bunch of dudes who like to play music. Cool, we got an album. Didn't realize what was going on with it until literally when Calls came out. I mean, we did a tour in June of 90, about a year after Slowly came out, and Calls was coming out in about 2 or 3 months after that. We were on tour in America, opening up for, God, I'm having a brain fart. Sacred Right.
Oh, there you go.
And yeah, they were on American Way tour, and they took us out, and this is our first real tour. So we were doing a U.S. run, like 36 shows or whatever it was. And then we realized, wow, we didn't even realize, we had no clue. I mean, we knew in Tampa, we played, people loved it. 400 or 500 kids would come out and thrash, But outside of that, and that show in Mexico,
Right.
whatever. So on that tour, we started to realize, wow, people actually like this shit. It's pretty cool. And it just kept going from there. And sure as hell didn't think I'd be here, 2017, kicking out more records. And
that's crazy. And
tour.
The promo link that I got to, man, I was jamming it in the car on the way home from work the other day, and I have to say, man, if you're an Obituary fan, like, you're not going to be disappointed one bit. Like, I was super pumped when I got home.
Killer. Thanks.
So
it's definitely a classic Obituary record. I mean, it's heavy as shit. It's got all the groove you'd ever want in your whole life,
That's the thing, man. And, I mean, if people listen to this podcast, they know that I kind of grew up in that new metal era too. But at the same time, man, I was like, World Demise to me is still probably top 10 favorite album of all time. And there's so many, like, just the grooves in that album alone, it's heavy, it's groovy. And then listening to the new album, I was like, man, it reminded me a lot of World Demise. It had a lot of that groove in it too. So I was it's just a sick new record.
Awesome. Thank you.
So I also like to have a little bit of nostalgia on this too, man, and go back. And I had Glenn Benson of Deicide on the podcast a while back, and he, we talked a little bit about what was going on in Tampa back then. As a kid growing up, you hear about this Tampa, death metal scene and Morrisound Studios and all this stuff. I mean, what was going on down there that made all of this great music?
I don't know. It's weird. Well, I think in Florida in general, over the years, I mean, like from like Skinnerd and Allman Brothers, or part of Allman Brothers down here, and you got Molly Hatchet. What's his name from Gainesville? Oh God, I can't think of his name right now. I'll think of it in a second. But a lot of good artists, musicians, and bands have come from Florida for decades now. At this point, before there was a death metal scene in Tampa. You know what I mean? Tom Petty. That's what. You had all these artists in Florida. I think Florida breeds some good musicians, I guess, maybe in general, kind of where it stems from in a way. I don't know why. I have no idea. It's just been that way since I've been a kid, So maybe that's part of it. And then, then you got in Tampa, I think, like, for death metal, I mean, we had Sabotage here and Nasty Savage, who weren't death metal, but they were like pretty heavy metal bands. They were heavier than your freaking radio rock. You know what I mean? Especially Savage and even Sabotage. I mean, this stuff is like pretty heavy ass shit. Even maybe compared to Maiden in a way, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So
absolutely.
And we at that point, we're into Maiden and Sabbath and whatever, anything like from that generation of metal or rock. So we were all into that, and everybody who was in the bands like Deicide and Death, all these bands, Atheists, we were all into that music already, classic rock and that power metal thing that was going on and that kind of stuff, Sabbath and all. And so I think we're all from basically the same generation. And once, a couple of us decided we're playing metal, I mean, it was kind of a natural thing. Everybody else is playing metal, and we're all listening to the same albums, and next thing you know, we're like playing shows together. And I think that created like a healthy competition of like, who's going to be better than the next band, or who's going to be heavier, or whatever it may be. You know what I mean? I don't know if it was conscious we decided to be that way, but it just kind of happened, I think. And it just bred a lot of cool bands from this area,
Yeah, and you guys definitely had a stronghold on all the great death metal names. I mean, you can't have a death metal name, or the band Death, or Obituary,
right, yeah.
Deicide. Like, you just had, you guys gobbled up all the great early death metal names down there too.
Well, when we used the name Obituary, we couldn't believe nobody used it yet. We were like, damn, I can't believe nobody's ever used that. It was like sick. We got lucky.
That's awesome. It's funny.
Nowadays, it's even harder. There ain't no names left now.
Yeah, you would have to be Obituary with like a backwards, B or something, to get it, to get your own name. But yeah, like this podcast is called Talk Toomey. My last name is Toomey, Toomey. I was like, you know what? I'm going to, name it Talk Toomey and go with it, blah, blah, blah. And then one day I was like, you know what? I'm going to search this just in case. And there's like 3 other Talk Toomey. There's like a speech pathologist thing. There's a realtor that has the last name Toomey. I'm like, really?
Oh, cool.
Other people have used the name Talk Toomey, but I have yet to hear from those people. So, hang on.
That's funny.
Hang on. UPS is at the door. I got to get my phone. Yeah. Hang on. Sorry about that. You there?
Amazon shipment? No.
No, it was my new cell phone, so you have to sign for it. So I was like, I saw him pull up. I was like, shit.
That's cool they made you sign for it, because, man, you wouldn't believe they'll drop a guitar off at my house, brand new Fender or something, and they'll be fucking sitting there to leave it on the front door. I'm like, what the hell are you doing?
Right. And that, yeah. And
ring the doorbell.
Right. And those packages too, they say, Fender Giant on them, or ESP.
Oh,
or
yeah.
whatever.
Big old Giant. Yeah, totally. Big black logo. Brown cardboard box. Gee.
Well, hopefully this neighborhood, I don't really see too many people walking off with stuff, but we'll see. You never know anymore. Yeah. But just kind of going back a little bit too, man. Just tell me a little bit about Scott Burns and the Morrisound Studios. Like I said earlier, man, I just grew up, and there were like 2 or 3 things that if I saw it on a record, I would buy it. One being the Roadrunner logo. 2 being, it was recorded at Morrisound. I must own it. And I don't know what 3 is off the top of my head, but like those were the parameters of buying records back then. So what was Morrisound? So tell me a little bit about Morrisound.
Well, yeah, I mean, it was a killer studio, and the reason we first started going there, they were a small little studio in Tampa, and Nasty Savage had, I think Savage and Sabotage both had recorded there. They both did some albums, recordings, and instantly, so when we were kids and we were going to do our first little demo in 1984, we were like, we're going to Morrisound, and it was a lot smaller place in a different location than when they started getting popular. So we did some demos there, and obviously not too long after the fact, they ended up moving to their own building, and they got this big old Soundcraft fucking SSL board, and all the old stuff still came with them and made smaller rooms in the big new studio, and that was a natural progression, and we obviously kept going there. Savage recorded their albums, Sabotage too, and we ended up doing our stuff there. And like the whole thing, like Scotty B, we had a guy named Rick Miller doing our stuff, and I think his mom at the time got sick, and she was somewhere in a different state. He was actually started the recording slowly and had to leave, and Scott was an assistant there, and cleaning up garbage cans and plugging in patch cables. Nice. And he was an engineer, so we're like, you're going to jump on the friggin' board, dude. Let's go for it, or whatever. He's like, all right, man, cool. And the rest is history after that. I mean, he started doing recordings left and right after that, He worked on Schizophrenia, I think, a little bit of that. The vocals, Max came up there and did some vocals up there, and then I think they did. Didn't they even do Beneath the Remains there, I think?
I believe so, yeah. I think they did some of the early stuff, early Sepultura stuff there, too.
Yeah, exactly. So, and after that, and Chuck from Death did his stuff there, and everybody locally started doing their stuff there, and it just all had this killer sound for the time. And obviously after that, it was all over. I mean, all the bands from around the world. Poor Scotty B, he was so busy because so many bands wanted him to record them in Morrisound, and that was his studio. I mean, not his, but that's where he worked. He wasn't he wasn't a hired gun to go wherever. I mean, which he ended up doing a couple of times. You know, he went down to Brazil, you know, and got ripped off. Even not ripped off by the band, but I mean,
right.
Got his hotel rooms broken into and shit stolen.
Wow.
But I mean, so for the most part, everything he did was in Morrisound. You know, 99.9% of it. So he was there 16 hours a day, 7 days a week. To where after a while he ended up quitting doing recording altogether because he got so burned after 12, 15 years of it. So I ended up having it with him. And Morrisound nowadays has been sold. The dudes from Trans-Siberian Orchestra, they purchased it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I guess Tom and Jim. I think they opened up something smaller or at their home or something. I'm not sure exactly what they're doing 100%. Tom and Jim Morris, who own Morrisound.
Oh, cool.
But the building's still there, and it's like I said. I don't even know if there's a sign. I haven't been by it since. I think the sign was gone. I think that's how I noticed something was wrong. And I heard, they just sold it a week ago, and I was like, wow. But it's a great facility. I mean, this place is just immaculate. A big, beautiful building, its own property.
So
great studio.
I'd always attributed this quote to you, and it might have just been an obituary quote, but it was something along the lines of that you guys wrote music on an acoustic guitar because if it was heavy on an acoustic, you could translate it over to metal. I mean, this is a quote from the 90s, so but once again, it stuck in my head as something that Obituary had said. I mean, is any validity in that?
I don't know. Hell no. I mean, I might if it was an acoustic guitar laying around, I might write a riff on it all day long, you know, because you can still feel it. Because a lot of times the feeling, the sound you hear, It's not just because you're plugged into an amp. You know, it's a lot of it, like different guitar players, they play when they the sound that they get it comes out of their hands. A lot of it. I mean, obviously distortion is because you got a distortion and then a heavy tone, but then the way it sounds, the nuances come from the guitar player. Like if you go to my sound check and watch a guitar tech pick up my guitar and try to play an Obituary song, it doesn't sound exactly how I sound when I play my guitar. It's funny. It's the weirdest thing. I discovered this one day, and then somebody's like, yeah, dude, same with, if you picked up Tony Iommi's guitar, it ain't going to sound like Tony Iommi. I know, I guess so. It's weird, even though it's his rig and his shit.
Yeah, exactly.
My guitar tech, Petta, he's a great guitar player. Better than me as a guitar player, I think, in general. He picks up my guitar when we're on tour in Germany, and he plays it. It sounds close, but because it's got my tone, but it doesn't quite he'll play a riff, bars, and it doesn't quite translate the same. You know.
Yeah, I heard a great Phil Anselmo story where he was talking about he picked up Dime's guitar, played a Pantera song, and then Dime picked up that same guitar and played it, and he's like, "Oh, there it is. There's the sound." So yeah, that's exactly what you're talking about.
Totally, it is. I mean, because everybody touches the guitar a little bit different, and it definitely makes a difference.
Well, I'm kind of mad that I've been trying to write metal songs on an acoustic guitar for the last 30 years, and I've just totally just made that up.
You can still write metal songs on acoustic. It sounds killer, man. Do some freaking crunches and some chops on the fucking acoustic.
Tune down to get a 7-string, tune down to Q acoustic guitar.
Right. Yeah. Totally.
We'll just talk about that a little bit. You've seen the recording techniques change from the 80s to the 90s to the 2000s to whatever we're in now. How insane is it that you can record, basically full albums in your basement now, things like that?
Oh, it's amazing because that's what we do now. I mean, we have, about 4 albums ago, we took the budget that was given to us and we said, screw spending money at a studio, like $40,000 or whatever it's going to cost. We took the $40,000 and bought a Pro Tools rig and just did it in our own studio where we practice. You know what I mean? Because it was natural. I mean, we basically track everything and then we have someone else mix it and help us mix it and stuff. But we do all the tracking ourselves, which with the beauty of that is you don't have to. You're not under the gun. You know what I mean? You don't because you go to a studio, you got to pay money per hour and you got to get it done, you know, under so much time frame, because that's what the budget allots, you know? So like now it's like, I literally, by the time you hear my final takes of my guitar on the album, I've probably done it 3 or 4 times. And that was not even thinking that's going to be the final one. Like, I did some rough track demos of riffs. Then also I'm sitting there putting the song together with my drummer. We got a song, a rough drum version with my guitar. And then next thing you know, we redo it all again because we rearranged it. You know what I mean? And then when we're finally like, okay, that's a song, he uses my rough tracks to do his drum tracks, and I go back in and redo everything all over again to make it perfect. You know what I mean? So you couldn't do that normally if you didn't have that studio in your backyard, you know?
Absolutely.
So it's amazing. I mean, I liked the whole analog thing forever, and nowadays the sample rates are so good that it sounds just the same, especially for metal. You ain't going to notice any difference of the recording quality. And when it comes down to it, when you go to mix an album and edit it and have to fix things if you need to, it's so much easier, it's so much quicker. You know what I mean? I mean, back in the day with Scott Burns, I remember times we were like, okay, you know what? Let's take this riff out of here twice. You know, it's too long here, or whatever, something stupid. You know, you have to go through and find this little spot, and you have to cut and splice the tape and pray to God that you did it right. You know what I mean?
I couldn't even imagine that. Like, that's, you know,
Scott Burns would literally get the thing and get real close to where it's supposed to be, and you go, move the tape around until you can hear, like, okay, right there's the snare. That's right where we want to cut it. And you cut the tape, you know?
That's crazy.
Splice it together. Oh, yeah. And, you know, what a pain in the butt.
I wonder how many recordings were lost by people doing stuff like that.
Yeah, worst thing, you just have to splice it back together, and, you know, because if you splice it back, you know, if you retaped it, if you cut it perfect, it'll go back pretty damn, it's flawless. You wouldn't even notice it. But it's weird. I understand it, that whole concept.
Yeah, you sit there watch that on TV and people doing that, and you're like, God, I just every time I see something like that, it just scares me to death. You know?
Yeah. Yeah, totally. Hell, even digitally, you're not even sure. He's like, is this going to work? And you do it. Oh, yeah, killer.
Yeah, but now you can hit Control Z, and then, you know, if you mess up, it pops right back.
Absolutely. It's great, too, for writing, because, like, there's been times where like, I had a bunch of riffs, and like, this is going to be a song, and I'd go through literally and just loop all the parts and crossfade them and get it to where I arranged it and be like, okay, that sounds cool. And then I rearrange it a little bit 100 times over to where like, okay, that feels like a song. And then, you know what I mean? So
absolutely.
Makes the arrangements more fun too sometimes, because you can sit there and stone out and frickin' go for it. Rearrange it 50 times within about 2 hours, you know?
Awesome. I know we've got half an hour, so we'll start kind of landing the plane or whatever you want to say. But what's the kind of the future of Obituary at this point? You know, what's this? Do you guys have summer touring plans?
Yeah, obviously, you know, the album drops next month. Well, you know, next month starts tomorrow. So March 17th, our album, and we start a tour that same exact day, U.S. run, with Creator, which is going to be completely sick. Been friends with Miller for half a century, so it's going to be fun. We've never toured together, done only a couple festivals together, that's about it. So it'll be fun to finally tour with those guys, and it's going to be a great tour for the fans, I think, in America, because, you know, it's 2 headlining acts on a tour together. It's a great package. Got a couple smaller bands opening, so it's going to be a fun night for everybody. But after that, yeah, we've got a lot more stuff. We're working on like another short, kind of a B market run in America where we're headlining just probably like 10 dates. Got more East Coast stuff, some markets that we don't normally hit, so we're going to do that. That's in May, I think. And then Europe, obviously, we're doing a bunch of festivals. We got a whole lineup of festivals going on, like the Hellfest. What else? I can't remember a bunch. We're doing the Bloodstock in England. Just a bunch of stuff. In fact, they just sent us a new list yesterday. I haven't looked at it, but sporadically throughout the whole summer, that stuff. And then we're actually talking about another kind of co-headlining run in America, like in the fall, like a full deal. Can't really say who it's with yet because I don't want to spoil it in case it doesn't happen. You know. But yeah, we've got all kinds of touring plans all the way to past this time next year. So talking to somebody about doing a European run too, like a club date deal, like about this time next year.
Are you encouraged to see kind of the American festival scene kind of growing stronger each year? I mean, I know that they're really not kind of embracing death metal just yet, but I mean, they're probably getting closer and closer to it.
Yeah, anything like that's great for, the scene. It'd be great to see, like some heavier stuff get on those festivals. Maybe it will happen eventually. We're always so busy in Europe that we never even get time to even talk about it. But it would be cool.
Awesome, man. And I think this will end up being around episode 92. And I just have to say that, you specifically and, Obituary as a band have been a band that I've wanted on this podcast since I started it. So, definite bucket list guest to have you guys on.
Awesome. I appreciate it. Thanks for the support. That's great.
Cool. And we're going to end with the song here. And like I said earlier, we came in with 10,000 Ways to Die. What I would like to do is a song off of World Demise, and just, you pick a song and maybe a little bit of a story behind it.
Ooh, me pick a song off of World Demise?
Yeah.
Well, I'd have to go with Don't Care.
There you go.
That song, it's funny, we did a video for it, obviously, back in the day, and we didn't play it forever and ever and ever, and then, like, last year we started playing it again on tour, and the whole crowd went nuts, and I could tell that people were, I remember every night people yelling it out, but we weren't playing it, so it's kind of a special song. Obviously, the video made it probably the one that people listen to more, just because of the video thing. It was cool. We did this in front of a big factory that's a power plant here in Tampa Bay area called Big Bend, and now it's got like a manatee reserve and all, and it's all been cleaned up and stuff. So maybe our video helped clean up that power plant. I don't know. It's pretty funny.
Very cool. Was there a reason you didn't play it live, or just because it just didn't make the set?
Well, the last 10 years, ever since 2004, I don't know, because we have so many songs to choose from, it's crazy. It's too much. It's overwhelming. Especially like this tour we're getting ready to do is, we're getting 45 minutes a night. So how many songs can you do? It's not very many. When you have 85 songs or whatever it is, or more, probably 100 songs, and you get playing 45 minutes, it's not very many. You get 10, 11 songs in there, you're lucky,
Well, awesome.
There's albums that get forgotten about, so it's pretty sad. But.
Absolutely, man. Well, Trevor, good luck with everything with the new album. Like I said earlier, thanks so much